Welcome to the paddock, everybody. F1 America, brought to you by Blood Racing. Sorry, it's backwards because we just caught onto that. How many shows have we recorded now?
We'll flip it. I'll now be on
it.
that side.
We'll mirror it, do something so it's legible.
Yes,
Either way,
guys,
Jeff,
race season
thank you
is
for the
on.
support.
We're back in action. Free practice 1 starts tomorrow, bright and early.
What time does it actually start?
I don't know. I sent you all this stuff.
I mean,
Like 4 a.m. or something. I think it's like first practice.
Oh, wow. Well, it's actually nice though that it's not an ungodly hour to watch the race.
Yeah.
So 8 a.m. and then the next race is 9 a.m. Super
Both
sick.
on Saturday, which is odd.
That's super weird.
Yeah, so I'm not sure the reasoning for all of that, but
I don't remember that last year for some reason. I do not know why I'm forgetting that.
I don't think it was it?
I don't think it was. So then what were they racing at Monday night? I don't
know. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. No, it still would have been Sunday night, I believe, but yeah, I don't know.
But we got some stuff to go over. Obviously the hot news.
Christian
Horner and Red Bull,
yeah.
and we were talking this in a sidebar conversation. I don't know if I said it on the last video, but I didn't think anything was going to happen as far as they've gotten in the investigation, right? And they were advising him. All the rumors were he's advised to step down, blah, 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 blah. Christian had an ace in the hole, I think, and he was just like, no, I'm just going to wait it out. He obviously denied it, but then obviously there was a couple other things, too, that said that he tried to pay off the threat, right? For like 750,000, I don't know if it was euros or $1,000.
But euros,
which is still a lot of money, and so that's just kind of like hush money. But and then I didn't see anything. There's nothing that came out that did they pay her off? Did she get her?
Right?
Is it just like, hey, get fucked?
Yeah, well, they said that Red Bull, this parent company, right, basically exonerated him and like cleared charges, but it sounded leading up that there was quite a bit of evidence about, I don't know, sexual activity or exploit, like text messages and
text. It's like, okay,
and maybe that's true, and they just decided, I don't know, like maybe they paid her off and she dropped everything. So then Red Bull's like, okay, yep, it's all good. I don't know. I was personally kind of hoping for a little bit more drama. I wanted to see Red Bull get shaken up a little bit, and
of course you would. Even though your boy's going to a better team, you're still
because I want Adrian Newey to go over to Ferrari too, and all that was kind of leading into that.
I mean, he still could.
He still might. Yeah, he still might. But I think that would have kind of been maybe the icing on the cake to make it
definitely would have been an interesting kick.
And we all know that I think Christian's a dick.
I like Christian more than Toto. I'll take Christian over Toto any day of the week. I think Toto just thinks like his shit don't stink, and like he is God complex. And
really, I think Christian's more that way personally.
I think just Christian knows what he wants to do, and like he's very blunt and precise about it. Toto tries to be kind of politically correct, but then he thinks because they've gotten so, which I guess once you get to that point that you accomplish so much, you have been so dominant, you earn that like clout and what's the word I'm looking for? Like just that kind of like arrogance, I guess. Like, yeah, I'm the shit. And then now they're like, now you're going on 2-3 seasons now with your cars being an absolute shit box, and you're like, oh, we need to change the car. Well, you still haven't changed the car, and the car still fucking sucks.
Well, have you watched any of Drive to Survive yet?
Yeah, that's one other thing I wanted to talk about, and I didn't put that in my notes, so thanks for reminding me.
Yeah.
Drive to Survive. I've been. Oh God, I have 2 episodes left.
I think I'm about in that scene,
and I'm just deciding if I'm going to choose violence and watch them without Raina because she's gone working right now. So I really want to watch them without her.
Yeah.
But I'll probably be nice. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, there's a couple things that just kind of stood out to me in Drive to Survive. Obviously, it's recapping the whole season, but behind the scenes. But he said in Drive to Survive multiple times, like, oh, well, this car we got it wrong. I'm like, yeah, no shit. You got it wrong twice and you still can't figure it out.
Yeah.
And even this year, it doesn't look very promising either. And
yeah, I think they're sandbagging a bit but they always do. I don't know that they're going to be as close to Red Bull as anybody else. I don't know. Yeah, it's going to be, it's so hard because you watch 24 hours of testing for, the preseason stuff, and really there's so like you can't really draw any conclusion because all the teams are on different run plans. They're all on different fuel loads. They're all on different tires. Like, everything is so different. And
one driver's
You don't
doing
know if
long
they're
runs, one driver's doing
yeah.
sprint runs, like
And
pace
are their
runs.
engines turned down or like nobody really knows what their performance is. So really tomorrow is going to be kind of our first look at where the teams kind of actually are.
You can make the assumption that Ferrari's going to be in it a little bit,
I
which
think they're gonna
they have been last since this car. They've been in it the first couple of rounds, and
yeah.
we'll see. Obviously, how is Red Bull holding back? Are they not?
I think Red Bull's miles ahead of everybody still.
Yeah, for sure.
I just for sure think that.
I read something that the dark horse out there is the Visa Cas app, Racing Bulls, RVs, whatever we're calling them.
I think they're RV, the RV F1 team.
Um, DR. We'll just call them the Daniel Ricciardos. But yeah,
Okay.
I mean that would be sweet if that was the case.
Yeah,
I mean,
because
Yuki was
they're
up there in the top.
using last year's car essentially, right?
That's what I was told. That they were supposed to get that base, and that's the other thing that's driving me nuts. Is oh god, Red Bull has two teams on the grid. I'm like, you guys all have two teams on the grid. Don't act like you
Close,
don't.
right? Yeah, not
Mercedes has
everybody, but
Williams.
yeah,
Ferrari has Alfa Romeo.
sort of.
Haas
Yeah,
is in on its own,
Haas is
like,
just
and
fucking
Alpine
up.
is on its own. And so, but like all the big box guys, they
Yeah,
all have two teams on the
kind of a
grid.
feeder team.
If you
Yeah.
guys aren't using that and taking that advantage, you're
Well, so
playing stupid then. Like,
so Haas could have been Cadillac's feeder team.
no,
What
exactly.
the hell?
It easily could have been. Or and wasn't Haas using Ferrari parts too?
They use their
So like
engines,
Ferrari
yeah,
actually has like two teams really
a
because they
little
have
bit.
Alfa Romeo and Haas.
Mhm.
So like they could work the system. You guys
Yeah.
just need to
Well,
work
if you
smarter,
think
not
about it
harder.
that way, then Mercedes essentially could have McLaren
True.
and Aston Martin
True.
as well. I think it'll be interesting to see how Aston starts out. You know, last year they started with a huge bang, and then somewhere in the middle of the season they just couldn't continue development. They fell off where McLaren was the opposite, and
Yeah.
they like really came on halfway through the season. So I think both of those teams could potentially start off on fire as well. I think kind of I believe that Ferrari right now is kind of the best of the rest, kind of that second place at the moment.
I agree with
And
that.
maybe Mercedes in there, but I think it's kind of up for grabs between maybe McLaren even stepping into number three. And we'll
I
see. Mercedes completely changed their car design and they're starting. So that's one thing that I noted kind of from watching, you know, Lewis's episode is how he was telling them, look, like the back end is shit. You need to change all these things, and they
Well, even Russell said
essentially
too, as much as I don't like
and
Russell.
Russell,
Russell
yeah,
said it in the video.
both right, and so Lewis is like, look, I've been telling them that they need to change the back wing. It's basically just like this fucking door,
Yeah.
right? And they said no, look, like we know what we're doing, and like, and
Uh,
so he's like, okay, and then nothing changed, and he's like, look, like you like if you're not gonna take the input of somebody that experienced and
well, the person
successful.
driving the car at the end of it, it doesn't even matter. Yeah, at that point, it doesn't even matter how much experience you have. Are you driving the car? No. Then shut the fuck up and hear what I'm telling you.
Yeah,
You need
yeah.
to
This
do.
is what you need to
Yeah,
change in
like
order for this to be
I'm the one
drivable.
physically driving it. Yeah, on paper, great. The wing looks good. It should perform great. It performs
Right.
great in the wind tunnel. That does not do shit
Yeah.
when we're in Australia, Austin, fill in the blank, and we can't go
Yeah.
anywhere.
Well, and think about all the wind tunnel is such a um linear way of looking at it,
Mhm.
right? When you're on the track, like there's crosswinds and there's all these other things that okay, great. It's great in a straight fucking, you know, wind tunnel,
With no
but
elements other than the wind
yeah,
going that
no other
exact
element.
direction. Like, yeah.
But so, you know, I think now that they've got their chief engineer back, things are going to be a lot better as far as development. I think we already saw, you know, with James Allison last year stepping in, that they've started to give it some performance towards the end. Hopefully, they'll be able to start a little better. Um, After watching that episode, it kind of makes me a little bit more excited about Lewis going to Ferrari and thinking about maybe what that potential could be.
Yeah, I think he's trying to pull the ultimate Schumacher, right? Like, Schumacher went to Ferrari, Ferrari sucked. They couldn't get it together. They figured it out, and then obviously won a bunch.
Yeah.
Um, Looking at the season, I think it'll be very similar to last season, like, or sorry, 2 seasons ago. Like, Ferrari will be close in the first race.
Yeah.
And then if McLaren leads off of how they ended the season, they could be up there dicing as
Yeah.
well. I saw there was a couple hot lap times from George and Lewis. The only caveat to that is that, did they get their car right this year?
Right.
Will it
Yeah.
last? That's probably the other thing. Um, there's there's so many variables. That's what's also frustrating.
Well, and I think we're seeing a huge discrepancy with car development now because of the cost cap. I think Mercedes of 5 years ago would have just spent $1 billion trying to develop and figure out that car, and they would have done it.
right, right.
But now they can't do that because of the cost cap, and so I think it makes it, I guess, interesting, right? I mean, that's why the rules change, is to keep everybody tighter in.
Yeah,
I thought it was also interesting that Red Bull basically came out of the gate with this fire car, developed it for like 5 races, and then basically just left it and started working on this year's car.
yeah. I mean, if it ain't broke,
Um,
don't fix it, right? Like,
well, but yeah, and I just to like a testament to how well they started,
yeah, yeah.
that nobody could even catch up with them with all the development that everybody else did, and they kind of stopped. So that's kind of interesting, and to see, well, they're taking a whole new concept. They're actually taking Mercedes' concept of
Hmm.
the like
Which I
no
thought
side pods.
that was a, I feel like that was the
I think a
biggest like
bold move,
big
right?
dick
Like a
energy move.
big ball move. Yeah.
Like oh god, that was like, and
Super
I want
big
to see
ball.
them be successful just to kind of disrespectfully like be like, hey Mercedes,
Fuck you.
yeah,
Like,
here you go.
oh,
Like
thanks for that
you
idea.
can't
You
you
guys
can't make it
suck.
work. Here
Yeah.
we go.
Yeah, and I think obviously it looks like they're doing it, which
Yeah.
is I think cool as far as engineering goes, and that it makes me curious as to why they would even
Excuse me.
change,
Sorry.
because
Can we let that out? No.
it's like
Gotta
raw,
keep it raw.
raw. The people want it raw.
Right. Right.
I think it's interesting because of how they were already so miles apart. Like, why didn't they just continue developing that and like becoming even further? And I guess maybe Mercedes was onto something with that design, and Red Bull, like Adrian Newey, saw that and was like, "Oh, you know what? I can actually do that to where it's going to work." And then it'll be even miles apart from what they would have developed their car into. So I'm curious to see how they develop that throughout the rest of the season too.
I think what he okay, so he might have did it to throw a curveball, right? Like to keep them kind of off the scent of how good the car is. So you do this. Obviously, the stuff that's working, I don't think he's gonna change too much. He's like, cool, the chassis obviously works. It sucks to the ground, right.
Mm,
And I know they changed little pieces here and there, probably a little bit of front wing. They probably changed them subtly enough to make them look different. But at the end of the day, they're still gonna be able to be fast as hell.
mm.
I imagine. I mean, they could totally come out the gates, and I could get it wrong, and my fantasy team could go to shit. But
Yeah,
um, I think the battle is going to be for second place initially, and
I think so.
we had a separate conversation on this. I think in another chat that Max is just in such a strong form right now that I don't think I've ever seen any other athlete this dominant and the will to win. And I kind of got this same testament from Zach, who was on our show last year, that he's just his pure drive right now is insane, and he's just in a league of his own.
Yeah. Do you think it would be different if you didn't have such a great car?
I don't think it'd be different. I think it's his will and the determination to win because he's always had that fire, but I think
Mm.
now he's just got the confidence that it like exuberates more.
Yeah,
And
it's
so,
easier to maintain that God status
yeah,
when it's like delivered,
yeah.
for sure.
I think even when he was battling, whether it was the 2021 the controversial one, right?
Hmm.
So even in then, like he was going for it, he was sending it.
Yeah.
But then you see a different Max now. It's like Max was just sending it and just on the ragged edge.
Yeah, I think
Now
he was
he's
a little
like
careless then. He's definitely more calculated.
he's calculated, he's fast. I think he knows to take that kind of, okay, this isn't my day. I'm looking at big picture. And it's kind of like probably comparison to the young days of Lewis just sending it to now.
Mm.
And now Lewis is like, it's not my day. I'll settle in, grab as much points as I can.
Yeah, it's about scoring more points for the championship than it
Yeah.
is winning everything. I don't know. I think Max still has a little bit more of that young,
I think he's definitely
I'm gonna
fiery
get
for sure.
fastest lap every single time. I'm gonna get win the like he wants everything, and he'll take it away from anybody.
Yeah, and I think you have to have that
which is
a little
fine.
bit.
Like,
Yeah,
I think he's,
like,
I think he's an asshole for a lot of those things, but also a lot of those things is what makes him really great.
and like the one comment he made, I forgot what was it. Tex? No, it wasn't Texas. Well, whatever. He was like out on his own, 19 seconds out.
Like
And
26 seconds of the
yeah, he's like,
lead.
oh, a little pit stop practice or whatever, and kind of like a calculated jab slash smartass comment, and it's like because he wanted to still go for that like heater lap, and it's like
Mhm.
so like stuff like that you can see, and then they kind of squash the idea, right? So it's
But
like,
he did it anyway.
or he still went for the heater lap, but he didn't get new tires or whatever.
No, he did.
Did he get new tires?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Mhm.
I don't remember that.
Yeah. And I actually remember that live too, watching it.
Do you?
Yeah. Because they're like, look, like you're so far in the lead, just coast home, right?
Right,
Like
right.
just cool the tires down. He's like, why? Why cool the tires? Let's just get newest tires.
Yeah. He's like, we got him. Might as well use him.
Yeah. And then you see them pit stopping, and then even on Drive to Survive, he's like, and Max gets past his lap on the very last lap, basically.
I mean, I think too the difference, and this kind of goes back to the same thing with motocross, right? Like watching Jet, like Jet's made some stupid decisions like as of late, but like Max as well. Like I'm watching Jet, I'm watching Max, and like I'm literally witnessing greatness and
Yeah.
history, and like I'm like cool. Like I'm glad I could be like into the sport at this time versus like
Watching the
I didn't
highlights of
know the
Schumacher.
Schumacher
Yeah.
era. I didn't know like the beginning of Lewis's era. I
Yeah.
didn't know Alonso and like how like obviously Alonso has a lot of status and two-time titles and he has so much experience because he's old.
Mhm.
But it's like you don't realize like how great he is and he's still out there.
Yeah. Well, I think he just put a huge, like, fast lap in too. That was pretty dominant over the weekend.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be really interesting to see. He obviously, you know, made a really good move going to Aston Martin.
Way better. Oh yeah, we get into Alpine because I Alpine's on the absolute shit list in my mind.
I really like Pierre Gasly.
I could agree. Okay,
I
yeah,
think he's really matured as a driver. I think he's been driving really well. I think Alcon's a fucking douche.
dude. Yeah,
I
he's just
just
like
like, if you look at the common denominator, he's always the one that's crashing, whether it's his fault or not, he's always the one crashing into his teammates.
mhm.
It's always him and a teammate crashing. It's been
He,
Alonso, it's been Gasly, it's been Perez. Like,
it's
get a fucking hold of yourself.
it's been a power struggle, and I don't know how he still has that ride.
No,
The one thing I do want to
he
know.
must have a lot of backing, is what I'm thinking.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
not bad, but like,
daddy's buying the ride or something like that. I don't know what he
I
comes
don't
from,
know.
but like
Yeah,
obviously somebody's got some pull somewhere. It's like there's no way you should stay on that team that from Perez until now.
right.
Like, and you're driving like and like he's not. I think he thinks he's faster than he is, and like he thinks he's
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm gonna be a world champion. I'm like, I will bet anybody $1,000 today he will never be a world champion.
Yeah.
The
Well,
world and Mars would have to collide together, and it would
because
happen.
I also don't think that he's a good enough team player that big teams are gonna want him.
No, yeah.
Like, he's too selfish.
Whoever put out the rumor that oh he's going to go to Mercedes, you're an idiot. I'll point blank tell you to your face. He's not going to Mercedes.
Yeah, no.
I could see. I heard some rumors that Seb might come out of retirement.
Oh,
Which I'm
God.
like, that would be sick.
I would love to see Seb like racing a Mercedes.
That'd be good.
What if obviously like Lewis goes to Ferrari? What if Mercedes gets their shit together? Seb comes back and wins
Wins the
like
title.
2 or 3
Dude.
titles.
That'd
Poor George Russell. It's like, oh
That
fuck.
poor George Russell. He's a sour puss too. God damn, like he's
I
so
know,
soft.
I know. I like him, but he is.
He's
He
so
is.
soft. Like he's like everything's handed on a silver platter. And he's like you have the kid that's from the streets, which I could see like Lewis is from the streets, had to grind it out.
Yeah.
George is just there. He's just like, oh, Daddy, take me to the races so I could ride my pony. And for fuck's sake. George and Ocon are on the absolute bottom of the totem pole. Like if they never raced F1 again, I'd be totally happy with it.
Yeah, I would say like, yeah. If they faded out,
I wouldn't be mad.
I wouldn't care either.
I would love to see like give somebody like K Mag, Nico, even like Albon, any of those
So,
lower tier teams, even Logan. I would
what
love to see
about-
Logan jump up into Mercedes and see if he could drive better.
Yeah. What about Albon potentially getting a what, like 3 or 4 year deal with Red Bull, something like
I
that?
didn't know
Like
this, but I didn't know it was 3 or 4 years.
I
But
think that
I
it
knew
said
for
something like
26,
that,
right?
but
Yeah, I heard about him getting scouted, or they gave him like
an
basically a first shot.
opportunity. Yeah.
And so obviously, that means Perez is out in 26.
Yeah, I think Perez has got to find a new place. I think it would be a shame to not have Perez in the group because I think he's a really great
You think
driver.
just swap them?
What's that?
Do you think swap them and put him on Racing Bulls?
I think it's difficult because obviously he can't drive the Red Bull as well as Max. Like nobody can drive. I hope Danny Ricciardo can get in there and beat Max in the championship. That would be my fucking dream.
Oh, for sure.
I would
For
love
sure.
that. But I don't know if it's just possible because Max is so fast. But I just think Perez is a good person as well as racer.
Well, he's backed by the cartel, but yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, if I was backed by the cartel too, I mean, I could quit my day job tomorrow, and that's all I do is talk about F1 cartel. I'll send me the check. Whatever the. Oh, sorry, dog. I
Oh.
scared the dog. Sorry, it's
You okay,
okay.
buddy? Did he step on you?
No, I didn't. My phone fell.
Oh.
I was like underneath my leg.
You okay?
Got spread gas from Buddy because I scared him.
Talk about
Um, Thanks. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know where else does he go back to Alpine?
yeah, I don't know where he goes. Like I think that's the thing. But I think he's good enough to race for anyone.
Face that way so they can see.
Yeah, at least look at the camera, Bodie. We're gonna have to just put a T-shirt on you.
Yeah. Marketing. We got our marketing dog in
That's right.
office here. Yeah. I mean,
Right,
I don't know. I don't know where he goes. I mean, maybe do you think they move him to Mercedes and to be the number 2?
I think he would outdrive George.
I think he would too. I mean, he already does, and I think any more equipment, I think he's got more experience and
Yeah,
all the above.
yeah.
Honestly, I wonder if so Albon's got the choice, right? I wonder how long he can hold on to that for. Or it's like, hey, you got to make a decision by like
Do you think he
tomorrow.
wants to? Right?
I don't
Like
know.
he's in a much better I believe he's in a much better environment for himself to thrive. Like and honestly, the new management at Williams, I know his name was
Bowles?
just yeah.
James Bowles? Jake?
Yeah. Coming from all the championships in Mercedes, I think he won a lot. He's very data driven.
Yeah.
It's all about data, right?
Yeah.
But I think he's also a people person in the fact that like he genuinely cares about people and he wants to build that relationship. And so I think he's gonna look at the data and coach you just like they're doing with our American boy.
Logan.
Just with Logan,
Yeah.
right? Just how they're like not just gonna X him right now, that they're saying, look, if you look at the data, he's improving.
Yeah.
I know, like I know what it looks like,
Yeah.
but like let's give him a chance because Red Bull doesn't give anybody a chance, right? They'll give him 2 races.
Yeah.
Like
I felt like
AlphaTauri.
they gave DeVries a long. I felt like longer than they should have given him.
Well, but he wasn't in the Red Bull seat.
No, he was still
You
in the
know.
Alpine seat. I felt
So
like that was a long time.
yeah, but I think they
Gave him
give
half a year because they did it after the break.
yeah, which is as long as they'll give anyone.
Yeah.
Really. But I think like Alex coming from that environment to something more nurturing, I guess, like Williams, which I think Williams is also reaching that point, or they reached that point where they're like, look, James even said in Drive to Survive, we need to break this and start new. Right. We need to let go of all the past history and look, we want to start winning now. What needs to change? And I think that's a very
big hopes and dreams there. But
yeah, but with the cost cap, everybody's having a more even playing field. So if they can get people that are good, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like because we analyze the driver so much, and then we hear people, like Adrian Newey, and when they really stand out, how much of a difference it makes. What if all these teams are also trying to find the next best engineer, right? The next best mechanic, the next like all of those things. And look at Red Bull's pit stops. They're
Oh, they're for
They're
by
miles ahead of everybody all the time, and they practice and they fucking pride themselves and all that stuff.
right.
Well, that's what's helping you win too.
No, for sure.
All of that stuff adds up.
The only thing I'd say is that, obviously you're trying to find the next best engineer. So do we say Adrian goes to Williams and all of a sudden they're front row, top
It
five? Well,
could
let's just
be.
say top
If
five.
all the drivers are close, then maybe, right? Like maybe it's car development now in this era of car because of the cost cap that brings things tighter. I don't know.
The problem with that though is that this era is so short because we're going
Yeah,
straight
we'll
into we're
already have
going
a new era
yeah
at 26.
we've seen me like since I've been paying attention to F1 we've seen two cars right the
Yeah,
Mercedes dominant that they literally just threw the
right at
checkbook
the
at
end.
and
Yeah.
figured it out and then this era where it's like Red Bull figured it out the gate and so they're going to go on their dominant run and you're
Mhm.
going to get into 26 what's going to happen is Williams going to be competitive is
Right, like
everybody going to shit the bed again
who's gonna
it's
get it
like
right and like
yeah
be on top? Yeah,
um
Ferrari. Ferrari's gonna be on top. Lewis is gonna finally get that eighth.
Maybe. I mean, I'd honestly like as much as a lot of stuff I've said about Lewis. I would love to see Lewis be successful at Ferrari.
Yeah,
I would love. I think
I think
everybody.
everybody wants to see Ferrari be successful again too.
Yeah, and then I think even the hardcore Ferrari fans are going to be like, "Holy shit, they're they're not messing around. They're bringing in Lewis.
Yeah,
Like all the comments they made
it
about
is a
Fred and stuff like that.
catastrophic deal.
This is like a lot of shit is happening. That like I don't think a lot of people understand like how big of a move that is.
Mhm.
And then also like that's kind of gonna make or break Lewis's like legacy. If he can do something or make it success. If he can't,
I think even if he can't, like he's got an incredible legacy that he's already had. But I think if he does,
oh no,
it sets
it's
him
concrete,
miles
concrete.
above Michael. Right now, he's like, even though he has more stats,
He does
he's
like the opposite of
still
Michael
kind of
because Michael ended technically at Mercedes, right?
yeah.
So he
On a
does like
rail, a bake,
he
like
does
a flip.
a flip of Michael.
Yeah,
And I mean, like I said, I hope he does.
I think it'll be exciting to see. Just the shake up. I'm a Lewis guy, so
Yeah, no, we know.
I'll die on that.
Let me look back at my notes. I need a breather here because you're stressing me out.
Am I stressing you out?
Stressing me out.
We need to talk about fantasy a little bit.
Can you talk about fantasy?
Join our fantasy league. We will be posting links to it.
And the Instagram
we
page.
also have to set our lineups, so that's why the
You wanna
league
give us-
isn't set up just yet.
Should I throw my soft lineup out there? The one I made the other day and then deleted it. I screenshotted it.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I haven't even tried yet, honestly.
I screenshotted one, so this will be a freebie for y'all. And you guys
Yeah,
can
let's see it.
give me feedback in the comments, message us, whatever.
Yeah, so there's also like there's one new rule with the fantasy.
It's the no negative chip on how it's played. I didn't read it, but I know it's
Yeah.
like how it affects
I
everything.
read it a little bit, and it was way more confusing. So we'll just see how it plays
So
out.
the dollar figures are totally screwing the pooch this year.
Oh, are they?
It's like max is worth 30 mil.
Oh, so it's all different then, huh?
Yeah, like you still have your 100 mil cost cap, right?
Okay.
But then to be
God, that's more than probably your team.
dude, like for real.
Almost.
So like this is my tentative team because I was like, oh, you're a no brainer. You go Max and you go Red Bull. But like them combined, you can't afford like any drivers. Like the first team I built, I still had one driver slot open. I'm like, well, fuck, I don't know what to do. So I think it'll make fantasy a little bit more even playing field.
Because you're not going to be able to pick a bunch of top people like we did last year, essentially.
Yeah. So
Yeah, interesting. Okay.
my teams are for my tentative lineup. I don't know if I'm gonna go to this. This is the one I made the other day.
Mhm.
Ferrari and Visa Cash App Racing Bulls.
Oh, so is Red Bull just like crazy expensive? So it's like if you have a top team,
I think it
you
was like-
probably can't have a top driver.
yeah, that's the problem. So like Ferrari is 19.3 million. And I think Red Bull was 23 or 28. I forgot.
Yeah. Well, then Mercedes, since they got seconds, probably high too.
Yeah. So
Okay.
my driver lineup is gonna be Max, Pierre, Piastri,
Yeah.
Albon, and Sonoda. And I only got 0.4. I got half
Left.
$1,000,000.
Yeah.
And
Okay, I like that.
I-
I think Alonso might score some points. I don't know where he is on the scale right now.
so The reason why I don't want to go with this team is I've heard that Alpine's already on the back foot coming into this year.
Alpine's not looking great. I don't know that the RBs are going to be that great.
But that's the other thing I heard. I heard that RBs have been like the dark horse and they could show up. I don't,
know.
but I think this, if you're gonna go for the RBs, this is the time to do it because everybody's still pretty even. It's not like if I
Yeah.
wait till 5 races in, everybody's gonna be developed, and I don't know if RB's gonna keep developing fast enough.
Yeah, it could be your chance to score some
Kind of like how Aston Martin
wild
was. Like
points right in the
Aston
beginning.
Martin, like was hot at the beginning, and then they went to shit. And like
Mhm.
I think last year I hung on to Aston Martin a little too long,
Too long.
but then they came back at the very tail end of the year and got some points. So I'm like, shit.
Yeah, it was sort of like we picked Red Bull every race,
Yeah.
and then it was in the beginning season you
was Red Bull
got
and Aston
Aston
Martin.
Martin
Yeah.
because they were cheap as fuck and they were getting second all the time.
Yeah.
And then it was McLaren crept in, even though they were more expensive, they were getting a lot more points than Aston, so you had to like cut them
Yeah.
and then cut like a bigger driver to deal with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
As far as strategy goes, generally the teams then like score more points. So getting like a Red Bull and sacrificing maybe a driver,
would be maybe a better play.
maybe, I mean, hypothetical, that might be what I try and do. But we'll see. I'm not gonna make any decisions until
I think
after practice.
I think
right
regardless,
before
Ferrari
qualifying.
is going to be a solid pick for points.
I think Ferrari's
They're
I mean,
obviously
Red Bull.
You know,
either
well,
way.
especially if you watch Drive to Survive, Fred pulls them both in the office and said like, "Hey, like we got to do what's best for the team." And I think Carlos and Charles are both on the same page. Like we're going to do what's best for the team to maximize points because
I
we
think
want a
so.
constructors.
I think Ferrari looks the most cohesive team maybe on the grid, as far as like everybody working together as a team. I think their strategy, all barring the one fucking dumb waiting for a safety car last year for Carlos. I think they botched it. I think they fucked it up, and then at that point they're like, well, now this is what we're hoping for. We know we screwed up. We could get lucky right now.
Yeah.
Like, and so I think they're just trying to hold on, hoping.
Yeah.
But they already screwed up. But other than that, compared to the prior year, they really surpassed like everything. The reliability was still some issues early on, but then got sorted.
There's some things like that though that Fred can't control that. Like, you know what I mean? Like Fred
No.
comes in like
No.
but it makes Fred look good. They're like, oh, the cars are good, the strategy's good.
Yeah.
Like he can control strategy, he can control people's mindset.
I mean, at the end of the day, he's ultimately in charge of everybody doing everything.
Yeah.
Right. So it's on him to like help the
orchestrate it all.
The team develop it better, help the drivers work better together, help the strategists like make the right calls. And you know, you're always gonna get elements of rain and shit that throws a wrench, you know, and that's what makes it exciting too, because then you could have a Pierre Gasly somehow winning a race when normally they wouldn't.
Right.
Or a K Meg, you know, taking pole.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, there's just so many like what ifs, and you could bench race all day long. You know, I think you got your powerhouse teams that are going to be definitely in the front. Then it's just really when it comes to your fantasy, like what can you afford, what drivers can you afford, and who's going to get you the most points. Which even if they're not in the top 10, they're still going to get some points if say they start last and they go to 12th because they're going to get passing points.
Yeah.
And then you kind of have to pick that happy medium. I think like okay, if I pick Albon, he's starting 15th, but I know he can get into the points because he's racy. That's a great pick, and he's cheap. And he even said, like, did you see those videos? It's like, oh, why you should pick me for fantasy. Yeah, there's Album's like, why you should pick me? I think I'm a good bang for your buck.
He is, man. I mean, he scored a bunch of points for us last year, like in fantasy too. And I think just Williams somehow came out of the gate. Like they couldn't hold it together on the corners. Like, you know, and so their full race pace wasn't the best, but their qualifying pace got better. Like they were like the top like high speed at a lot of tracks there at the end of the year.
Line was really good.
Yeah, so I think if they can kind of, you know, rein it in a little bit and keep that. And granted, we know like, okay, if you lose downforce, you're going to gain top end speed, right? And there's going to be some trade off. So be curious to see how they develop the Williams throughout the year. And they're really kind of nobody's excited right now after preseason testing. Like they feel like they still have a long way to go. So it'll be interesting to see how they actually match up.
I feel like it depends on what team you ask, right? Like I think Daniel made a comment. He's like we definitely made some good strides. Though obviously things we need to figure out. And then I think you see the guy, whoever's near the top of the board, they're probably pretty happy. They know they could get more, but they're probably pretty
Yeah.
happy to be there. Like whether it's Red Bull, Ferrari,
Yeah,
McLaren.
I think Red Bull's like, yeah,
Other
we're
damn
gonna
apart.
win. We're gonna win.
24-0. Here we go.
Yeah, basically, we're gonna win all of them.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I wouldn't be mad to see that. Like, it would be a
Just
boring
for history.
It'd be boring
Yeah.
season, but to see a team do that would be super sick.
I mean, we damn near did last year.
Yeah, it was one race, so
I think all but one. Yeah. Signs, right?
Yeah, Signs won that one,
Yeah.
and that was pretty rough to watch. See the behind the scenes, like Charles obviously wanted to be there, and they kind of voluntold. That's the one thing I kind of don't like is the team orders in a way. I get it and I don't like it at the same time, but when you're racing for, it makes more sense in this motorsport than say like in motocross, because in this motorsport you have the team aspect and the team and the constructor's title that you're getting paid on.
Yeah.
So it's like you kind of have to do that. Like we need to do what's best for the team to get us the most points.
Yeah.
Versus, hey, we just need to cherry pick so that Max can win or Carlos can win or whoever the points leader is can win.
Yeah.
That's what I don't like. It's like, so he backs up the field to try to like obviously give Carlos some breathing room, which if he hadn't done that, he would have gotten eaten up because his tires were smoked in that race. And he got lucky with George clipping the wall. Another reason, George, not a fan. Stupid move. Which I mean, I'm not the racer by no means.
Yeah. Like Latifi
but
ruining
I would throw
Lewis's eighth.
Some people never get over it.
Until the next one.
I'm sure somebody else will ruin it. Logan will probably ruin it.
Oh, Logan, don't do it.
That's the only possibility I could ruin it.
Also, Nick DeVries has to pay back like whatever that big loan or something too.
Did he actually have to pay it back? I didn't actually hear.
I saw some article that he has to pay that back, like $750,000 or something like that.
I'm sure he's not going to pay it back. I'm sure he has plenty of money. He's a Formula E champion, F2 champion. I'm sure he's got money.
I mean, he had to borrow that to try and get into F1 though, I think is the thing. And he was only making like maybe $1 million like last year.
Huh, rough.
I know. No,
I know. He's gonna go. He can go race any other sport and or like any other, whether it's motorsport.
Well,
go back
if
to
you don't have any money, like you're really bad at managing money. Because also you saw his apartment was like, dude, it was probably expensive because of.
It was in Monaco.
It was in Monaco, maybe. I don't know exactly where it was, but like he didn't have any shit.
It wasn't lavish.
Was as big as this office.
This and the bathroom combined. Like,
dude, seriously. So it's like, I mean,
I lost a lot of respect for him, seeing how much of a dork he is when it comes to cleaning. I'm like, great for you, but like, dude, you're a nerd. Like, get a life. Maybe that's why you can't drive a car.
Maybe focus on driving.
Focus
on driving instead of how neat everything has to be.
He's the guy who's like, oh man, I didn't hit my line. I got to back out of it.
Yeah, he's like, these engines just aren't as fuel efficient as the E classes. I just can't drive this. It's just that engine oil so dirty.
I'm trying to think what else were. I mean, Drive to Survive.
So I got a comment about Drive to Survive. Might not be popular.
Let's hear it.
Well, okay. You know how I am is like I'm all progressive. I'm all for everything. I'm all inclusive. I love all that. I just get a little turned off by Danica Patrick being such a high role. Like, dude, I think she is super knowledgeable. Like, I like her. I think she's great. I think it's cool that she's interviewing people at the races.
Mm-hmm.
I think because you're such a high budget film now, that should be a former Formula One driver, not a washed out fucking NASCAR Indy, you know?
Yeah.
Like her insight's great. Everything about like working in a team, like she's a racer. She knows it. So I can shut my mouth. But you guys have the budget. Get fucking David Coulthard, right? Like get fucking Jensen Button. Get somebody who fucking has raced Formula One to be in there making all these comments. Yes or no?
No, I agree 100%. There was one comment you said that I was gonna have like a difference of opinion, but it was like in the same direction you're going. So at the end of the day, Netflix had hit their diversity quota. That's what it was. Because they have X CEO of Williams
Right.
in there. So you're really irrelevant now.
I think it's fine. Like, she has perspective.
And Danica,
She doesn't have F1 perspective.
no, exactly. So like she's interviewing people, and these guys are probably like, if she's getting interviewed by Lewis, or Lewis is getting
Yeah.
interviewed by her, you know what I meant. He's gonna be like, I can't take a single fucking thing you're asking me, like serious, because you didn't do shit.
Yeah.
You were the GoDaddy girl, and you like, and
Right.
Raina actually made a comment about that too, and I'm like, they started her out like in the first fucking episode, I'm pretty sure,
They did.
and I was like, fuck
She's
this
like
early,
had a
like,
huge role in this season.
and it's like, yeah, she and all of her comments. This one was all of her comments have been general comments that anybody with
anyone.
common motorsports knowledge
Yeah.
could make comments on. Oh, you have to jive with the team. If you're not jiving with the team, yeah, no fucking
Yeah,
shit.
no, yeah, like
The guy
agreed,
last place in
agreed.
NASCAR could have fucking told you that.
Right.
The go-kart track could have told you that. Like,
We could have told you that.
don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I at one point thought Danica Patrick was the shit, and she was hot because it was the new thing. It was NASCAR.
Yeah, I mean, she is hot, and she's a
Whatever.
female racer, and like it's
But
cool. I
now,
like her, but
it's irrelevant because everybody and their mom, half the OnlyFans girls are racing some type
Yeah.
of motorsports,
right,
and OnlyFans is sponsoring half of them.
Right,
So,
right.
like,
well, or like who's that new chick that drives for McLaren that's fucking knocking the socks off of everybody in F1 Academy?
the Filipino chick.
Yeah, dude,
don't know
like
her name,
she's
but
a fucking baller. Like,
yeah, she's fast as
get
fuck.
her on there, fucking talking some stuff
Yeah, or even
about
like
what it's like up and coming in that sport. You know,
Leah
like,
Block, like she's obviously like I feel like Leah Block has just as much clout or knowledge per se because she's been racing just as long,
yeah,
and as well as doing all these other motorsports. Versus like I don't know Danica's full resume, so somebody's probably gonna
yeah. And I
correct
mean,
me on this.
again, nothing against Danica. I like Danica. I just don't think that she needed to have such a big
Just a-
role in Drive to Survive.
She probably ran out of money, so they're trying to figure out a way to pay her.
Like, she got a good manager.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not. I just think she's in the wrong place. Yeah,
that's all.
For
Yeah.
given the times, like you said, coming up in NASCAR, oh, girl in
Well, like,
NASCAR, that's pretty
being-
wild. But now it's like
There's
now
a NASCAR show now.
yeah, I
Be
just saw
on the
that
fucking
actually.
NASCAR show.
Yeah. Or like it's cool to have a little bit of crossover. Like Grosjean still pops up in it because he obviously was here, but then he's doing the IndyCar too. So like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of other people you could have picked. Like at that point, you throw Danica in there, you might as well throw Paris Hilton in there and have her make a comment about fucking.
Well, that's
oh,
the
you gotta
thing,
jive
like-
with your team. Like, yeah, I'm sure you jive with your fucking producers as much like with your TV show as much as the F1 team does. Like, fuck.
It's all about cohesive and working together.
Like, no, that's the biggest thing for me. Is like none of her comments were like
well, you could argue that
eye opening. Like, oh, light bulb went off. Oh, fuck, Danica said that. God, it makes so much sense now.
you could argue that
She had her on the show.
what's his face why am I'm just blanking on everybody's fucking name. The other guy commentator who's a commentator for F1 TV that is always saying
Oh, the Will Buxton?
Will Buxton,
Yeah.
where he's always saying
Obvious
the obvious shit too, They probably scripted in there to where it's like they can't be wrong. So they have to say, but
I get
it's not much different.
So it's super hard to watch.
If you're going to win the championship, you've got to also win the race. It's like, no shit.
So lately, Moto's been doing this because I think they're trying to blow up more and like be more appealing to the general audience. If you happen to turn on NBC Sports and it's like, oh, what is this? A bunch of guys flying through the air on motorcycles, and they want to like appeal to that. But like some of the announcers in that have made some very generalizations and shit, and I'm just like, God, I can't even like listen to you guys talk because it's so annoying.
Dude, I used to really enjoy when they just nerd out, right? And like get so in depth about
Yeah.
right? Fucking again, I just had his name and I'm drawing a blank. 7-time fucking world title, not Jeremy McGrath, but who came right after
Ricky Carmichael?
Ricky Carmichael.
Oh, yeah.
How he would just nerd out on what's that?
I think it's more than that.
He might,
Yeah.
but on like all the strategy and all of this and this tiny mechanical thing. I like that because it helps me learn more shit that I would have never thought about.
Yeah, and like sometimes they've been like, and Ricky's been annoying the shit out of me because I'll see something like, oh, did you see Jet wheelied into that and then he tripled out? And then like 2 laps later, like, oh, Jet's wheeling in and tripling out, or like it's a quad. I'm like, do you see the quad? Like he just quadded that. And then, oh God, he's making up so much time there because he quadded it 5 laps later. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
thanks, dumbass.
Yeah,
Like
like, I
pointed that
noticed
out
that,
literally
yeah.
like the first lap.
But somebody's
Uh,
probably in their ear telling them.
yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, I better
Uh,
comment on this.
but then sometimes they break it down. So he's like, well, you know, he uses the clutch so that he could get a really drive out of the corner. And you're like,
No shit.
yeah, no shit. Like, so that's what's like drives me nuts to the point. Like, okay, like if you're turning this on, odds are you're not just turning it on out of the blue. Like,
Right. Yeah, you're like into it enough.
which I'm all for growing every sport, whether it's golf, whether it's motorsport, whether it's fucking checkers. But like there comes to a point where you got to let some people use some common sense, and I think that's what might be wrong in the world. Not to get political or anything, but
No,
like
nobody
God,
has
there's a
any anymore?
lot of lack of common sense.
Yeah.
And just like, hey, I wonder how that works. Oh, well, you know, start putting 2 and 2 together.
Because nobody's fucking trying to fail anything anymore.
Yeah.
Nobody's going out and saying like, well, let's fucking see how this works, and failing a lot until they figure it out.
Hey, I
Like
mean, I'm not gonna
everybody
lie.
just wants to go and search.
I don't want to like pull my whole car apart and then not be able to put it back together. But
Yeah, but you fucking learn something.
yeah, no, you have to do it sometimes.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, basically moral of Drive to Survive for me was I didn't like Ocon to begin with. I definitely don't like him more. I don't like him anymore now. Actually, I thought Drive to Survive this year was like very slow.
I think this was the worst season, and I don't know if it's just because there wasn't as much drama in the actual season. There wasn't as much like Max had the championship wrapped. It wasn't like I don't know.
Oh, we didn't talk about Otmar getting shit canned.
He did get shit canned?
Yeah, he got shit canned at Spa, like halfway through the weekend.
Oh yeah.
But
I think that guy was. He always kind of. I don't want to say rub me the wrong way, but I always kind of got this feeling like he was playing in a league that he wasn't.
no, yeah,
shouldn't
he would
really
not
have been in.
like he acted
And
like he
had,
was like a Toto.
all this
like,
fucking
bro.
like, yeah, I don't know, all this
I've been doing this 27 years. I'm like, yeah, you have nothing to show for it.
nothing to show for it.
You have drivers that always fight with each other, and you tease one color on your livery, and then you don't put out that livery. Retard. No, I mean I
I
don't.
don't think you can say that
Yeah,
anymore.
I don't care.
I'm gonna have to cut that out.
Yeah, will you have to? Just put a bleep over it. That'd be fine.
I don't know.
Can you bleep it?
I need to get like a soundboard that I can just start putting. Oh, I could do that.
That'd be cool. Make a little
Like from our intro. I could do that.
No, but I mean, Otmar, and then it was funny how I want to know what happened with back in whenever they were kids. Gasly passed what's his face on the last lap, Ocon on the last lap, but he got DQ'd, and then Ocon's like, yeah, he wasn't driving like he was supposed to, but
like
Gasly was like, oh, yeah, I got DQ'd. Like,
I know. I want to know what happened more too.
did
I
he
want did he hit him? Like
cut the
did he
track? Like,
yeah.
what could you have possibly have done?
Oh, hey, guest star.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
What could you possibly have done to like? And then why didn't they touch on that? Like you kind of leave it out to
Yeah, like you left this huge, but like
it
oh,
was probably
now
something
nobody's gonna talk
stupid.
about
Like
it?
if I go research it,
It's he probably got disqueued like he shouldn't have. Like Alcon probably threw a fucking fit.
yeah.
But which also is interesting is like Alcon's the one with the grudge. Gasly's like, I tried to bury the hatchet and he just won't. So fuck him.
Yeah.
Like,
And then all of a sudden, what I was pissed about though, they said they had this closed door meeting, which you see them go in the room, and then you don't hear it. I'm like, dude, you should have been recording that. That would have made the season. Them like going blows at each other, throwing shit at each other, like, screw you, you banged my girlfriend, like, you know, whatever. Like,
yeah, right.
that would have been sweet to know.
Yeah, I don't know.
So Drive to Survive for me, like it was slow. Ocon's still a bitch, and Dan McPatrick, why the fuck are you there?
Yeah. Yep. Season there.
Honestly, I think the Williams ex CEO Toto's wife, his wife, right?
Yeah.
I think her role is really irrelevant in it too. Like she made pretty standardized comments, like, "Oh, the pressure." I'm like, "Yeah, no shit, the pressure. Like if you're not performing,
yeah, I think having her perspective is okay because it also shows her as like a wife, right? So it kind of characterizes him.
He was in it the previous season, so
yeah,
it kind of
just
that's
like
the way it was
Christian's
justifiable.
Christian's wife and family are in there sometimes too,
Yeah.
right? Like so it's not, and it's not like she has this huge, like she's talking all the time.
No, no, no.
You know, it's just in their episode. I think it was relevant. She's also a race car driver, and she's involved in the like she's the head of F1 Academy.
Yeah, I want to know what's going
So
on with F1 Academy because I saw some this other F1 girl we follow. I forgot her name. She's American based though. I can't think of her name, but she just did a thing talking about F1 Academy. I'm curious about the whole F1 Academy thing and like how not lucrative is it, but like how much does it really help you, right? Like, are we gonna see Leah Block there in 5 years racing F1? Like,
yeah, that'd be
because
cool.
like how
Yeah.
many times have you heard of oh F1 Academy driver, but like where do they go after that?
Well, I mean, the the goal is for them to get into F1,
Right.
but the driver lineup just doesn't. You have Lewis who's been there for fucking 80 years. You've got Alonso that's been
Yeah.
in there for 100 years. You know, like
And you have
so you
Max.
have
Max has been around a minute too.
well,
Like,
fuck, even George is like 6 seasons now or
yeah,
something like that.
Charles, like Charles there
Jeez, like
before George. I
why
mean,
are
look at
some of those guys still there if not? You know,
what
like I don't
about
know.
like Fred? How many did you see all the pictures and flashbacks Fred's done? Like Fred's helped
Oh,
not Vettel. Did he help
I
Vettel?
think
No.
Vettel
He
too,
might have
but
helped
maybe
Vettel.
not because he
But
was
then
Red Bull, but
the Bull man.
signs.
No. Well, he did help Signs. He helped Charles. He helped
He
who's
also
that?
helped Lewis.
He helped Lewis, yeah. And then who's
Schumacher?
no. Bottas. That's what I'm thinking of.
Hmm.
So he was with Bottas. Bottas goes to Mercedes. Now he's and then he went back to him, which is like a trip. So like he had Bottas in two different like eras.
Yeah.
Um, man, I would love to see Bottas do good in that car. I just think that Alfa Romeo car is not really cutting it.
Kick Sauber.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
the
Sorry.
fucking I think the livery is maybe the best on the grid. And that's it. I love that fucking bright green and black.
Yeah.
I
Well,
think they're not looking great.
somebody made a comment I saw, and they're like, "Yeah, that one year we had all this carbon showing, it was sick. And now like every car is just carbon." And I'm like,
Mhm.
yeah, that's true. That's kind of right.
Yeah. I still think that like somebody did a mock-up on Instagram with Ferrari having like
Oh, the black carbon,
just complete flat black and then like right ass
red logos and stuff.
yeah,
Yeah, I saw that.
red horse and like red sponsorship logos. I think that would be fucking sick.
I should do like a one-off race on that. That'd be gangster.
That would be
Like
dope.
Vegas
Or
would be
like
sick.
Mercedes have it be all black and then like their Patronus green. Like
Yeah,
but it was like what do they called it? Not like gold flake, but like it's like
the
gold
metalized.
metalized,
Yeah,
yeah, which I think looks sick. Like Rebel, like Max, I think has done on his lids sometimes.
yeah,
That's like gold. I think
yeah.
I
The
don't know. I
gold
think
flake
that
in it.
that like metallized flake is so cool.
I had a jersey when I was racing that had like on the main logo of the brand, it had like a gold flake in it. It was super gangster.
Yeah, I think that's kind of cool. Like when it's subtle like that, not
Yeah,
the whole car, not like chromed
yeah.
out everything, but yeah.
I I'm curious. Oh, I think Daniel. He's gonna have a couple years. If he can't do something this year, then I don't think he'll be around much longer.
Yeah,
I
do you
kind of
think
don't
he's
know
gonna
why.
jump into that Red Bull seat next year? Or I mean, it kind of sounds like they're giving it to Albon maybe.
No, Albon's not until I don't think until 26.
26.
I don't think I
And
thought I saw something that
nothing
wasn't
signed,
wasn't
so
25. Um, I wonder how long like the Strolls will stay in. But I heard he owns part of like Aston Martin.
yeah, he's like the biggest stockholder, I think, in Aston Martin.
So I mean, I think he's not going anywhere for a while. But
No,
I mean, money talks at the end of the day. If somebody wants to buy it, like
maybe,
I'm
yeah.
curious about is Audi going to be able to come in and take this kick because they rebranded it to
Kick Salver,
yeah, or Stake Kick F1 team.
yeah, Steak, Salver, Kick.
So is it going to be like Stake Audi F1 team or like?
I think it's just gonna be Audi, probably.
I heard that Audi might have a problem though trying to get in. I don't remember what the logistics part of it was,
Well,
but
with Cadillac getting
I read
kicked out.
I
Like,
read an article that it could be a potential issue for them to buy that team now.
interesting.
So
You
I
don't
need
know why.
I don't I
You gotta
didn't read the
dive
details
a
on
little
it.
bit more. Yeah.
I saw it briefly, and so I mean we probably won't really see it until the end of this year or like middle of this year that they're officially going. But I thought we heard that last year, and that's why I'm not surprised about the whole Lewis going to Ferrari thing because where's Carlos going to go? Because Carlos already made an announcement that he was planning to go to
Yeah, that's yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah.
Is there anything else we need?
No,
Any other rants I could give tonight?
I think we ranted all of our
Probably should
rants.
stop ranting. I mean, probably people are going to stop watching us because all we do is rant.
Or maybe they're gonna start watching us because all we do is rant.
True. This is what's wrong with F1.
Well, now you're gonna be able to listen to it on podcast too.
Oh, did you get that all squared away?
I got it all squared up. I got it still. So our last video is uploading
Into the podcast form or into the
and
YouTube form?
YouTube, but I'm gonna take all that audio and just pop it right in. So
So are all the old episodes gonna go in there too? Or no?
Nah, I think I'll just start fresh on this season.
Got it.
If you guys want to, I mean, I can backload it, but
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
we're on season 2 now. It's our second
crazy,
year.
Yeah. But
Crazy.
it feels like it's
Yeah.
not been that long.
So, all right, we're just holding it for the last bit. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Thank you, Blood Lubricants.
Thanks, Blood Lubes.
Like, comment, subscribe, all that, that stuff. Yeah, if you have
We're
any
excited for a season.
comments, let us know. Check us out on is it gonna be Spotify, all podcasts? What is
Yeah, check us out on wherever you find your podcasts and on YouTube and Instagram.
Official F1 America.
We're gonna put a link for our fantasy team, so be on the lookout for that too. Join up.
And I'll have another. If you want to go back and look at how we did last year, you go. There's a highlight reel from last year's F1 team. It's just all stats basically, so it's pretty boring. But if you want to kind of see how it worked, maybe how we ranked throughout the year, and then yeah, we'll go from there.
I'm gonna be the 2-time champ. I won last year. So
did you win last? Oh,
yeah, I did. I get to brag about it all year. I'm gonna say it.
That's fine. Brag all you want.
Fantasy champ, baby. You guys are taking me on. Let's do this. All right.
Have a good night.